I'll give thee summat in a minute, all right. But it'll not be brass, he'd snarl, raising his hand if she dared beg for more. So far, somehow, she'd managed. Now it seemed all her hard work and careful planning were for nothing. Hearing him lumber from their bed several hours ago, still half drunk from last night, she'd stuffed the ball of cheap wool and knitting needles into the dresser drawer and hurried to the fire to heat the kettle. Even with her back to the staircase, she'd sensed his foul mood as he stomped down to the kitchen. Minutes passed in silence as she brewed tea and cut the loaf, while he sat nursing his aching head in his hands. Then, placing his breakfast before him, her world had crumbled around her. Grabbing her wrist, he'd stared at her hard, head cocked, and asked, "What's that?" Ignoring the pain caused by his dirty nails, she'd frowned. "Bread and drip." He'd cut her off with a backhanded slap to her mouth. "Not the grub. That." Nursing stinging lips, she'd followed his gaze to a length of pale wool dangling from the drawer. She'd felt blood drain from her face.
"Please, Joseph, I cannot manage on what you give me. It's not enough to make ends meet,"
he'd whined mockingly, grip tightening.
"Yet you can manage to buy wool, you lying bitch, you. No one steals from me. What else has that bought without me knowing about it? What else has that been frittering my brass on?"
"It's for the infant. It'll need clothing when it's here. The wool only cost—" To her horror, searing pains ripped across her middle before she could finish. They and Joseph's threats had only intensified with the hours. Now her work-reddened hands flew protectively to her stomach. Relentless beatings had snuffed out all previous life to grow in her womb. She'd fight to the last breath to protect this one. This child was a fighter. The risks she'd secretly, patiently carried out for years were for this, the child to survive its father's abuse. On cue, Joseph's fist struck out. It flew by her head, missing her by inches. Gasping, she forced herself to look at her husband. Dark eyes glinting, he released a bark of laughter.
"Frickin' you then, did I? That were a warning. But next un won't be if you don't tell me the truth, you sneaky, thieving young slut."
She didn't know how much more she could bear on top of the waves of pain threatening to split her in two. Asking him to fetch help was pointless. Being Sunday, the Rose residents would be at the Meadow Lane Chapel, and besides, her husband wouldn't want anyone seeing the rainbow of colours covering her face from his last attack. Another contraction ripped through her, making her scream out, "Joseph, please! The child is coming! It's coming now!" The last word ended on a tortuous wail, and in desperation she fumbled for the hand squeezing her upper arm. To her astonishment, his grip loosened. Her eyes widened as he smoothed her drenched hair from her brow with the coal-dust-ingrained hand poised to strike moments before. "Oh, Joseph, help me!" she whispered on a sob, taking advantage of this tenderness she'd never known from him. "It hurts so much. Please, I don't know what to do." He ground out his reply.
"Are you going to tell me what you've been up to?"
She closed her eyes, heart sinking. She'd have to confess. Any chance of receiving help rested on it. "But if I do, it'll all have been for nothing. Dear Lord, what do I do?" she agonized. Mind consumed with hopeless options, she didn't notice that the hand stroking her hair had slid until it clamped her breast. Her eyes sprang open and her heart banged at his leering grin. Mother of God, surely not. The thought exploded through her brain. "Joseph, what are you doing?"
"Tell me the truth, or I'll force it from thee the hard way."
Her dress had ridden to her hips with her writhing.